Tonight on Texas News Primetime.
2 mosquito trap samples test positive for West Nile virus.
Alex Jones orders to pay $1 billion to families of Sandy Hook victims.
The UT Tower will be renovated for the first time since it was built.
You're watching Texas News Primetime.
News made for Longhorns.
Good evening and welcome to Texas News Primetime. For Monday, October 17th, I'm Kevin Bosker.
And I'm Rue Moody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
In a 6-3 vote, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected the request to take up the case of Texas death row inmate Andre Thomas. Thomas's lawyers argued that members of his jury back in 2004 had expressed racist views, making them unfit for jury duty. In a statement by his lawyer, Marie Levin, no one who hears the story of Mr. Thomas' life believes that he is mentally competent. To pursue his execution would be nothing but an ugly spectacle and would not make Texans feel safer. Andrew Thomas had not scheduled an execution date yet.
Skeleton remains found earlier this week at a field in Williamson County have now been identified. This past Sunday, the Round Rock Police Department confirmed the remains are that of Timothy Perez, who reportedly went missing on March 5th driving to Conroe, Texas after visiting his brother. The cause of death of Mr. Perez is currently unknown, although no criminal activity or foul play is suspected at this time.
The UT Tower is slated to be renovated for the first time in its 85-year history. Invested by the University of Texas System Board of Regents, the project will cost $26 million. In a statement by UT President Jay Hartzell said, quote, "Their investment will enhance and preserve the tower's legacy and ensure that it even shines brighter for generations to come." The university is expected to announce that they will further the restoration project at the November 12th home football game.
The Food and Drug Administration has declared a nationwide shortage of Adderall, a medication used to treat ADHD. The FDA claims the shortage is due to manufacturing delays from Teva, an Israeli drug manufacturer. The FDA is encouraging doctors to prescribe their patients alternative treatments for ADHD until there is more Adderall available.
On Wednesday, the court ruled that radio show host Alex Jones owes nearly $1 billion to families of 8 Sandy Hook victims. The families sued Jones for saying the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting that killed 20 first graders and 6 teachers in Newtown, Connecticut was a government hoax. Jones is now facing financial ruin, and it is unclear how much money the families will actually receive.
The University of Texas Longhorn Band premiered its new bass drum, Big Bertha 2, at the football game against Iowa State this past weekend. Big Bertha 2 is now the largest bass drum in the world. This came with the final appearance and retirement of the original Big Bertha after over 100 years. The original Big Bertha will be housed in the Frank Denius Family University of Texas Athletics Hall of Fame. This game was the only time both bass drums would be featured together in the Longhorn Band halftime performance.
The Center for Disease Control Prevention note that cases of the flu, which usually tend to elevate in December and peak around January, are being reported at higher rates than typical for this time of year in the U.S. The CDC detailed remarkably high flu activity in Georgia, New York City, South Carolina, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., and Texas, and recommends annual flu vaccination for those 6 months and older.
Marie Baja was awarded the MacArthur Foundation Genius Grant, which is a grant of $8,000 and is awarded to 25 individuals every year. This group of individuals ranges from scientists to historians and artists. Professor Marie Baja is an astrodynamicist and is being recognized for his work on space environmentalism and improving the oversight of Earth's orbital spheres.
The January 6th House Committee unanimously decided to subpoena former President Donald Trump to testify. The vote came as the panel ended its hearings Thursday, with both Republicans on the committee joining other 7 members to pass this vote. Committee members are unsure if Trump will testify, as Trump did dodge the subpoena earlier this year.
According to Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar, Migrants flown by Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis to Martha's Vineyard are victims of a crime since they were allegedly led to Martha's Vineyard under false pretenses. This certification allows these migrants to get special U visas, which are valid for 4 years.
Austin Independent School District will have $2 billion bond package on the ballot in November's election. The bond package will provide funding for security improvements, system enhancements, faculty modernization, athletic improvements, and more. Voters will consider 3 split propositions within the package: general purpose, technology, and stadiums. Early voting begins on October 24th, with the election day on November 8th.
The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has declared an Ozone Action Day 25 times this year, breaking the record for the most ozone action days in Austin. The commission does this in order to raise awareness about, quote, atmospheric conditions that could produce high levels of ozone and air pollution, end quote.
The polling station at the Perry Castaneda Library has been removed after Travis County officials found that it was not compliant with Americans with Disability Act. More voting machines have been added to remaining campus voting sites, including the Flan Academic Center and the LBJ Presidential Library, to help the voting process move faster during the November 8th election.
Beginning next month, Austin Energy customers will see a fee increase of about $15. This increase comes as Austin Energy plans to expand the base rates for electricity next year. The electric provider has had a budget shortfall of about $100 million. According to a spokesperson from Austin Energy, the shortfall stems from this year's hot summer, high natural gas prices, and debt incurred during the winter storm in 2021.
Eligible Texans who need help with utility bills and mortgage payments can now apply for assistance from the state. The Texas Homeowners Assistance Program helps qualifying households with past due and future utility payments, as well as future mortgage payments. Each household can receive up to $65,000.
Last Tuesday, 2 mosquito trap samples collected in Georgetown tested positive for the West Nile virus. The traps, located in Geneva Park and Berry Creek, are the first positive traps found in these locations this year. The virus is the most common mosquito-borne disease in the United States. However, there is yet to be any reported incidences of human infection in the area this year. That being said, according to the CDC, symptoms of infection may include fever, headache, body aches, skin rashes, and swollen lymph nodes.
President Joe Biden just announced the launch of applications for federal student loan forgiveness plan. The application can be filled out in English or in Spanish. Biden first announced the plan in August, and individuals with federal student loans qualify for the program can apply right now. And coming up, we'll be bringing you up to date with the world of business and tell you what's going on in the STEM news. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. Here with us now is TNP business correspondent Joseph Sweeney. Tell me, what is going on in the world of business, Joseph?
Well, on Friday, the 2 largest supermarket chains in the United States, Kroger and Albertsons, parent company of Randall's, announced that they will be merging in a deal estimated to be worth $24.6 billion. After the merger of Kroger and Albertsons will become the second largest retailer that sells groceries behind Walmart and ahead of Costco. Spirit Airlines now flies a nonstop path to Monterrey, Mexico from Austin Bergam International Airport as just one of a number of new nonstop flights within Austin, with American Airlines announcing direct flights between Austin and Memphis, Tennessee in January. Austin Airport has seen passenger growth in recent years, with 1.97 million passengers flying during July of 2022.
Thanks, Joseph, for coming on. And to talk about STEM news, we have Sophia Kurtz. You got to tell me, Sophia. Tell me, what's going on in the world of STEM?
Sure thing, Kevin. So, a new research initiative founded by the Cockrell School of Engineering and the College of Natural Sciences called Texas Biologics will focus on advancing therapeutics through biological research and development for infectious diseases, oncology, neurological disorders, autoimmunity, and inborn errors of metabolism. Daniel Jaffe, Vice President of Research, stated that, quote, the establishment of Texas Biologics will facilitate bringing together more scientists, engineers, clinicians, and inventors to advance new breakthroughs in medicine and save lives. Researchers at UT have created a new material called smart plastic, which has the ability to change its hardness based on light. Assistant professor in chemistry Zachariah Page explained that when light is shown onto this material, it hardens and becomes more rigid. However, when the material is obscured from direct light, it becomes softer. The reaction takes less than an hour and minimizes the use of hazardous waste potential. Applications of this material, as theorized by Page, are in soft robotics or electronic devices. Last month, Hurricane Ian devastated several states in the U.S., especially southern states bordering the Atlantic Ocean. As a result, many homes, businesses, and properties were damaged and will require restorations. To assist in the aid relief estimations, Google AI has developed an algorithm that will assess which neighborhoods could be granted relief funds based on analyzing the damages seen from satellite photos, as well as examining the intersection of poverty and its effects within the community. This effort is in collaboration with a nonprofit called Give Directly, which primarily assists in sending money to those in need. So far, some families in Florida have received $700 in. A new blood group has been discovered by the University of Bristol, what is called the ER blood group. The finding is the 44th of such blood grouping to be discovered. The ER blood group consists of 5 antigens to date, 3 being around for over 30 years and 2 being recently found. The new blood group can now help doctors identify and treat rare cases of blood incompatibility. And despite record high numbers just a few years ago, the snow crab population of Alaska has shrunk dramatically, having fallen by almost 90% in the run-up to last season. In response, the Alaska Department of Fish and Game has made the difficult decision to cancel snow crab season this year. While devastating for local fishers, Alaskan officials said they needed to be conscious of conservation as well as economic. The reason behind such a dramatic collapse in such a short period of time remains unclear, though many scientists believe climate change is playing a role. In a written statement to the Washington Post, the EPA stated, quote, "In the Bering Sea, Alaska pollock, snow crab, and Pacific halibut have generally shifted away from the coast since the early 1980s. The EPA continued, they have also moved northward by an average of 19 miles, end quote.
Thanks so much for coming on, Sophia. And up next, we have Tommy Yarsh with sports, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right after the break. Welcome back to Texas News Primetime, and coming on for our special segment of Press Box on Primetime is Tommy Yarsh. How are you doing today, Tommy?
Doing good, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
As always, now you got to tell me what happened this past weekend with the Longhorns with Iowa State.
Well, the Texas Longhorns certainly played a football game on Saturday. Let's go ahead and take a look at what kind of game they did play as we head to DKR Stadium for the highlights. We're going to start off in the first quarter. Longhorns hosting Iowa State, and it's Keelan Robinson getting things started on special teams with the block. They can't get their hands on the ball after that, though, so it was 4th down anyways. Texas gets the ball at their own 21. Bert Auburn goes to miss that field goal, so it's still 0-0, and Iowa State takes advantage. Hunter Decker's over the middle to Jalen Knoll. Wide open, 7-0 Cyclones in the first quarter. Still threatening now at the 10-yard line, but it's Jalen Ford with the interception for Texas. Maybe a little bit of a momentum shifter there for the Longhorns, and they certainly turned into just that. Quinn Ewers on play action, looking for the corner of the end zone. Xavier Worthy makes a big grab over there to even it up at 7 apiece. Next drive for Texas. Here comes Bijan Robinson. What a year he's had. He's finished with 135 yards rushing on Saturday, his 5th straight game of this season, with at least 100 yards rushing on the ground. And if you thought Bijan was only good at running the ball, think again. He goes up to make that grab, holds on through the contact, sets him up inside the 5. They would score there to make it 14-7 at the half. A Bert Auburn field goal makes it 17-7, but here comes Iowa State. Jalen Knoll again this time connects with Deckers. He scores from 57 yards out, and it's a 3-point game. Back come the Cyclones once again, and they are not done. There's Xavier Hutchinson. The leading wide receiver in all of college football makes a nice grab along the near sideline. And Deckers, this time going to tuck it and keep it himself from 12 yards out for the touchdown. Iowa State goes up. Now a big 4th and goal for Texas. Game on the line here, and Quinn Ewers hits Xavier Worthy on the perfect whip route. Texas takes the lead. And now the defining play of this game, under 3 minutes to go, Xavier Hutchinson drops this wide open catch. Surefire touchdown, just falls in and out of his hands. And then Deckers, a couple plays later, gets popped by Anthony Cook for the fumble. Texas wins the game 24-21. They snap a 3-game losing streak to Iowa State, and they move to 3-1 in Big 12 play, while Matt Campbell and the Cyclones drop to 0-4, still trying to find their first win in Big 12 play.
Man, it's no secret that they played so sloppy this past Saturday. Tell me, what happened?
Yeah, certainly. Miscommunication and just minor slip-ups were a pretty big aspect of it. Texas lost their starting corner and Ryan Watts fairly early in the game, so they had to try and figure out how to contain certain guys like Xavier Hutchinson, who we saw a couple of times on that highlight reel, without him on the field. And they found that to be pretty difficult, and they had to throw in freshman guys and second-string defensive backs out there. So focusing on Hutchinson a bit more, it opened up the door for guys like Jalen Knoll, who had 2 touchdowns, and Hunter Deckers just did a good job picking out the weak spots in the Texas defense. Offensively, the wide receiver corps has really struggled with catching passes consistently, and that was evident with Casey Kane especially. He dropped a massive pass in the third quarter that would have been a surefire touchdown from 58 yards away. It's tiny things like that that really added up and just overall led to one of the worst performances we've seen from this Texas team all year.
Yeah, you can tell me that again. Now, you got to tell me, what area of the game are the Longhorns really going to have to improve if they really want to step up and beat Oklahoma State next week?
Yeah, certainly going to be a really tough game to play, but defense has to be the key in this one, without a doubt. It feels like Spencer Sanders has been at Oklahoma State basically all his life. I think it's only been 4 years realistically, but dealing with veteran quarterbacks like that is never an easy task. And while he is dealing with some injury issues, Sanders knows this Texas team very well, and he's beaten them before. They'll need to do everything they can to limit Sanders and Mike Gundy's offense overall. I think another thing that'll have to happen is handling a tough environment with ease. This is the first time Texas has played a true road game since Texas Tech I believe that was 4 weeks ago. And we all remember how that turned out, not in the Longhorns' favor whatsoever. And Stillwater, Oklahoma is notoriously one of the hardest places to play in all of college football. That won't be any different on Saturday. The last 5 times these two teams have played, it's been decided by 1 possession. So you can expect a good one up there in Cowboy country this weekend.
I cannot wait for this game this coming weekend. But thank you so much for coming on, Tommy, for Press Box on Primetime. Upcoming next for entertainment, we have Eniola. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Texas News Primetime. With us now is our entertainment correspondent, Eniola Longue. Welcome.
Thanks, Ruth. It sure is great to be here tonight. Several attendees ended up in the hospital after sustaining severe injuries at this year's TwitchCon. Looking to have some fun at the various attractions offered at the conference, guests flocked to the Lenovo and Intel foam pit, where opponents jostled one another off a pedestal and into the pit. Unfortunately, the pit was too shallow, so when Twitch streamer Adriana Chechik jumped into the pit, she broke her back in 2 places. Chechik said she has already had 2 surgeries and a metal rod placed in her back for support. And another person dislocated their knee, but the pit remained open. Lenovo and Intel released a statement that they are investigating the incidents. And for all the fans of late-night television, Megan Thee Stallion played a double role as host and musical guest on Saturday Night Live. Many people took to social media to share how much they enjoyed the music star as last week's host. The crazy thing, though, is moments before she was due to go live on the show, she got news about a break-in at her home in Los Angeles, with the robbers carting away over $300,000 worth of property. But as they say in theater, the show must go on. She delivered a stellar SNL performance, and one thing most people kept talking about was the British accent she did, asking Bridgerton producers to put her on the show. While that's a possibility since she already has acting credits in P-Valley and She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, in an earlier tweet, the rap star said she will be taking a break after her performance on SNL.
I, for one, would love to see Megan Thee Stallion in Bridgerton. This weekend wrapped up the end of Austin City Limits this year. Can you tell us the highlights of the festival?
Yes, Drew. Definitely one of the major events Austin is famed for came to a close yesterday. Austin City Limits' second weekend delivered all that it promised. Paramore announced that they are dropping a new album next year. Their last album, After Laughter, was released in 2017. 2017, and everyone at the concert was definitely very excited to hear the news that they can be expecting a new album. And several other musicians were there, but in particular, musician Red Hot Chili Peppers left 30 minutes early both ACL weekends, but after so much booing from the crowd, they came out to perform 2 extra songs on the second weekend. And so that was really good to see that, they actually listened to their fans and cared what they felt about their performance. And this year's lineup definitely attracted all ages by inviting a diverse group of artists like Lil Nas X and Spoons. And there was something for everyone, and I think it's what makes ACL stay relevant.
Thanks, Aniola, for coming on. And as always, you can follow Texas News Primetime and TSTV News on social media just by searching. Also, take us with you on the go by subscribing to our podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. From all of us at TSTV News, thank you for starting your week with us this evening. Now, go out and change your world.